You're listening to the Touch 'em Up podcast. I'm your host, Double M, and on today's episode, we have Double Trouble Breakdown number 8 on the number 11th ranked featherweight in the world, Calvin, the Boston finisher, Kattar. So without any further ado, let's get this started and step into the ring. Hey guys, how's everybody doing tonight? I know I haven't done one of these Double Trouble breakdowns in a really long time. Ever since I believe the last one I put out was on Rose Namajunas in August. It was it was September, in the beginning of September, and I was planning on doing one a week, but I figured, you know what, I'd rather take my time and get these breakdowns out to you and really break down everything, which I do in these breakdowns, I feel. But there's always more. I feel like I always miss like maybe one or two little small details, and to casual fans, I'm sure they don't care, but to me, I want to cover everything. And I almost cover everything, but I just figured I'll take a break from the breakdowns and then we'll bring it back. And baby, we're bringing it back heavy with Calvin Kattar, the number 11th ranked featherweight contender in the world, who actually competes tomorrow night. Whatever time you're listening to this, the fight probably already happened by the time you're checking this out. But he will be fighting Zabit Magomedsharipov in Moscow, Russia tomorrow night at UFC Fight Night 163 on ESPN+. Such an amazing fight for the featherweight contenders. I haven't had enough to say about this fight. Been looking forward to it for a very long time, and it was supposed to happen at UFC Fight Night Boston. It didn't end up working out. Zabit said he had an injury, but like I said, I'm excited that it's happening, and I really like Calvin's chances in this fight. And we're going to be breaking it down. I believe we have 4 fights. It's the fight against his debut against Andre Fili, his fight against Chris Fishgold. No. So it goes Zabit or Zabit. It goes Calvin versus Andre Fili, Calvin versus Shane Burgos, Calvin versus Chris Fishgold, Calvin versus Renato Moicano, and then Calvin versus Ricardo Lamas. I believe the Fishgold and Renato Moicano fights were flipped. I don't really have a big breakdown on the Calvin Kattar versus Renato Moicano fight. That was actually where he suffered his first defeat in the UFC. But when I tie everything together, you'll understand why. So let's start out with the Andre Fili fight. Obviously, he took this fight on short notice. It happened at UFC 214 on July 29, 2017. And Fili was a good prospect. He still is in the featherweight division. Not a top guy, but close to the top. I'd say probably top 15. One of the big standouts at Team Alpha Male, aside from Cody Garbrandt and formerly TJ Dillashaw. But right away in this fight, Kattar was circling towards his left, which was Fili's power hand. And you never really want to circle towards somebody's power hand, but if you're able to circle towards the power and then circle towards the lead and then circle back towards the power, it can draw out shots from the opponent, and then you're able to slip on the inside, slip to the outside, and counter. That's what Kattar did right away. Fili threw a jab at Kattar, and Kattar slipped to the inside and threw an overhand right, and it landed. Or you know what? I believe it missed. Yeah, it missed, but it showed his awareness. It showed he was ready to counter the shots of Andre Fili and slip and move and then come back with his own shots, which would make Fili a little wary about throwing his own shots, but it would also, make Kattar dangerous. And we knew that right off the bat. Kattar always has good eyes. He's always looking for the counter. Fili was switching constantly between an orthodox and a southpaw stance. I've said this multiple times on the podcast. An orthodox stance is a conventional stance, which is what a normal fighter would stand in. So if your power's in your right hand and your lead hand is your left hand, you're going to stand with the left foot in front, right foot in back, power in the right hand. Fili would throw like a right hand, switch to southpaw, which would be the left hand in back, which is the power side if you're in a southpaw, and the right hand in front to throw the jab. And he constantly switched mid-combination and just constantly switching. And it comes from Team Alpha Male. The Team Alpha Male guys are always good at switching stance mid-combination, throwing a kick, switching stance, throwing a right kick, landing it with the right foot in front, and being in a southpaw stance to throw the power in the left hand. Kattar landed the lancing jab. I call it a lancing jab. So a normal jab, you're just going to take it and you're going to pop it out there because it's your lead hand. It's the rangefinder. It's to find the distance between you and your opponent and then close it to land the power shot. But a lancing jab that Kattar throws, it's where it's stabbing you. It's not hitting. It's not, just touching you. It's stabbing you. Just pop, pop, pop. And then he'd slip to the outside and throw it, and then throw it to the body and throw it up to the head. And he always had that lancing jab, and was able to get off the center line nicely as he threw it. So he'd throw it and he'd slip to his right, come to the body, come to the head, boom, boom, slip, slip, a lot of stuff like that. Kattar, again, he also always has a high guard. His hands are never really down low. With a guy like Shane Burgos, he keeps his hands up, but he likes to shoulder roll and then cover on the opposite side. But Kattar, his hands are always right above his eyebrows, his fingertips touching his forehead, and then he's moving and he's putting his hands out to get you to counter off of a feint and then counter off what you throw. Before we get too deep into this, I just want to tell everybody what a fake and a feint is. If you're a student of MMA or a big fan, you know what it is. But a fake is where you throw a punch, but you don't throw it with the intent on landing it. You throw it to get a reaction from your opponent. So you're going to fake a jab. You might throw it halfway and stop, and the opponent's either going to parry it, which is where they try to grab it and swipe it away with the lead hand or the rear hand, or they're going to slip, pull away from it, and you get the reaction. You see which way they're moving as you fake it, and then you can throw the actual shot and follow it up. Feely would switch to southpaw and throw the straight left hand, which again, that would be the power hand because of southpaw, your left hand's in back. And he would always do this trying to angle with that straight left hand and then switch back to the orthodox stance. Switching stances mid-combination usually confuses opponents, and it was a little bit confusing for Kattar in the first few exchanges, but he was able to get the range on it and figure it out as the fight went on. Kattar then threw a long left hook, which is the lead hand because he's in an orthodox stance. He threw that lead left hook, boom, to get his head to the outside, and then threw the right hand to the body. Watch out for this because he loves this technique. As we get further into the breakdown and more fights, he loves that long left hook to get the foot on the outside and then throw that right hand to the body. Boom, boom, and then he'll come up top, left hook, right hand to the head because he's getting you to think, oh, okay, every time he throws that left hook, he's going to throw the right hand to the body, but then he'd come up top and throw the right hand to the head. Kattar wasn't drastically switching from southpaw to orthodox in this fight, but he would switch as he circled. So as he was circling away, circling from his left and to his right and trying to move away from the power hand of Andre Feely, he would switch stances into a southpaw stance as he got close to the fence. That's one thing you'll notice as we continue to break him down is he will switch to southpaw as he gets close and his back closer to the fence. This is so he has power in both sides of his body. So he'll circle at first with the right hand in the back and his power in the right hand. But then as he moves back closer to the fence, he'll switch to southpaw, and then his power's in the left hand. So the power's coming from every side with a guy like Calvin Kattar, and you're not really safe anywhere you go. As the fight continued, Kattar wasn't, like I said, he wasn't drastically switching from circling to his left and right because Feely was switching stances. So by not drastically circling one way and then circling the other way for a long period of time and almost keeping your ground, standing your ground, but moving a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right, it would make it harder for a guy like Andre Feely to switch stances and get the outside angle because Kattar would be moving to the left, okay, I'm going to move to the right. But then as he moved to the right, Kattar would cut him off and move to the right. But he always kind of stayed in front of him. He didn't drastically move to his right to give Feely an opportunity to cut an angle, and he didn't drastically move to his left to give Feely an opportunity to cut an angle to the opposite side. So Kattar landed the long jab to the cross. Boom, boom, as Feely was backing up. Bop, bop. He's got one of the cleanest 1-2s and 1-3-2s in mixed martial arts and in the featherweight division, and you'll see that as we continue with this breakdown. So Kattar landed the 2 on the body, or Let me see. Was it to the body or to the head? No. So he threw the jab, boom, to get Fili to react, and then threw the right hand and landed flush on Fili's jaw. Like I said, he loves the 1-2. It's one of his favorite techniques, and the 1-3-2, which is the jab hook cross, is amazing. Let's see. Where are we at? So Fili kept throwing the inside and outside leg kicks to the lead leg of Calvin Kattar as he was trying to switch stances and circle, as Fili was doing this, I might add. So as Fili would switch from southpaw to orthodox or switch to southpaw, throw the left hand right hook, Fili kept throwing inside and outside leg kicks, but Kattar would like put a lot of weight on his lead leg and kind of lean into it, so it has a strong base on your leg and it's not going to kick your lead leg out. It's going to hurt. You're going to feel the pain, but it's going to make a harder target for your opponent to hit, and they're probably going to land on your knee because you're putting your weight on your lead leg and you're kind of pushing it down. So it's a harder base when your opponent hits that lead leg with a kick, and it's just really a harder target, and it could hit off your knee and really damage the opponent. Kattar would fake a step in to close the distance and then read Andre Fili's reaction. Like I said earlier, he's a very smart and he's a very professional fighter. He likes to gauge your reactions and then throw off how you react. So he would fake a step into range as Fili was moving in. Fake a step into range. Pop the jab. Fake a step into range, throw the hook. Fake a step into range. Andre Fili would kind of react, and he'd slip the reaction in the counters of Andre Fili. As Kattar kept reading the range, he would be able to step back and avoid the leg kick, where he would like put his weight on his back leg, pull back, and pull the lead leg back as well. So Fili's kick would just swing right past it and hit air, and it would knock Fili off balance. He did this more and more as the fight carried on. This shows that Calvin Kattar has good distance management and understanding of range. He has it at first because he's able to land that jab right away, just bop, bop. But he also learns it as the fight moves on. He learns how to read the reactions of the opponent. He learns how to read the distance management, so he can, without having to block a shot or cover up as an opponent throws a strike, he can just back up and get out of range and then come back in and counter with his own shots. Fili threw a right body kick as Kattar was in a southpaw stance. So now Kattar switched to southpaw. So they were probably closer to the fence during this exchange because, like I said, Kattar likes to switch to southpaw as he gets closer with his back to the fence. And Kattar countered the right body kick with a left hand, with an overhand left. And it capitalized on the openings, because when you throw a kick, your chin and your face is usually exposed. You're covering on one side, but the other side of your face is exposed as you open your hips up for the kick. So Kattar switched to a southpaw stance up against the fence and countered with that overhand left. Boom, cracked Fili right on the jaw. Let's see. Kattar would then use the left overhand when he's in southpaw. So his left hand is his power hand because he's in the southpaw stance. He would throw that overhand left and then bring his left leg with him to put his left leg in front, and then his power was in his right hand. So he switched from southpaw to orthodox with the combination. This is pretty common nowadays. I mean, it wasn't at first. You know, when I first started training and stuff like that, there wasn't a lot of people switching stances. It was mainly, if you were a right-handed fighter, you'd stay in your orthodox stance, right-handed back, left leg in front, left hand in front, and you'd fight like that. But now people will throw the left hand, bring the right leg forward, throw the right hand, bring the right leg forward, throw the left hand, bring the left leg forward, and switch stances mid-combination. Kattar slips to the inside of Fili's jab to fire the overhand right counter. He did this at the beginning of the fight, as I mentioned in the beginning of round one. It just shows how aware he is and how ready he is to counter whenever you throw a shot at him. Kattar tries to throw that lead left hook, the 3 to the 2 to the body again, and he's just out of range with the hook. But he lands the cross to the body, so it shows that he's getting closer and he's finding the range during this first round. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Like I said, he would use the hook to measure the distance and then land the 2 to the body. So then he can go with the 3 and counter with a hook and then throw the 2 to the head, throw the cross. So boom, boom to the body, and then he gets you thinking that every time he throws that hook, that cross is going to come to the body, and he throws the hook to the right hand to the head. One of the things I said earlier, I believe I might have touched on it, I'm not 100% sure, is that Calvin Kattar likes to lean forward, and then his power hand, which would be his right hand, he likes to move it. He likes to bring it out in front and kind of just move it in and out in front of your face and try to like touch your lead hand. So he'll move it in. Okay, you see this hand? You see it? Boom, counter, or pull your hand down to throw the left hook and stuff like that. He does this to, again, manage the distance, because if you decide to come forward, he can keep that right hand out and back up and gauge the distance, keeping you away. Kind of like a fencer, keeping the barrier between the opponent so that he can't come in and close the distance. Feely goes for a single leg takedown, but Kattar's able to get the hips back. Again, it's because he understands the range. He understands when an opponent is in range to be dangerous and when he can get out of the way of his attacks by moving in and out of range. This just shows how smart Calvin Kattar is and how professional he is during his fights. Kattar steps into range with an uppercut and which switches him to southpaw. So he throws that right uppercut and switches to southpaw, and then quickly goes back to orthodox stance after he throws the uppercut. This is just going to confuse Andre Feely. He's going to throw the uppercut, switch to southpaw, throw the left uppercut, switch back. It's just to confuse him. Like, oh, I thought the power was in the right hand. Now he's throwing a right hand and switching into southpaw. So if I move towards his left, he's going to hit me with the power in the left hand. Kattar shoots a takedown and gets the body lock on Feely, and then is able to use his right hand, which is in the body lock, and trap Feely's right hand on the ground behind his back, and then land vicious left hands to the face of Andre Feely just to close the first round with a statement. You're closing the round with a statement, and you're just showing, how aware you are of the scorecards and how you want to be ahead on the scorecard. So that definitely gave Kattar the first round. Let's see, what else? Now we go into round 2. Again, I broke down a lot during this first round, but it was more of the same from Calvin Kattar as the fight went on. So I'm not going to cover as much in the second and third round. I wrote down a lot, but we have a lot of fights to cover, so I'm not going to cover everything, like I said. Kattar immediately moves laterally in both directions, like I said earlier in the beginning of this second round. Move to the left, move to the right, pop that jab, move to the left, move to the right, fake the right hand, pop the jab. Kattar switches to southpaw and lands the left hand, which would be the power shot because he's switching from orthodox to southpaw. So the power was originally in the right hand. He put that right leg in front. Now the power is loaded up in the left hip and on the left side. So he switched to southpaw to land the left hand and then switched back to orthodox to land the overhand right. You know who does this a lot now is Dustin Poirier. He'll stand in a southpaw stance. He'll throw that left hand to close the distance on you, step his left leg forward, come forward and land that overhand right. And that's kind of what Calvin Kattar did in this combination. Obviously, it was way before Dustin Poirier made this renaissance in the lightweight division, but it's just kind of interesting because it's kind of the same idea, which what Dustin Poirier does. Kattar would stutter step his way into range and then back out. So he'd move in a little bit and back out. Move in a little bit, back out. Just to see how Feely reacted. When he moved in, did Feely cover up? When he moved in, did Feely swipe like he was going to throw a jab and get it out of the way? Did he throw a shot to counter him even though he wasn't there? He's always making reads and he's always figuring out what you want to do and how you're going to react to what he does. So like I said, he's moving into range, moving out, moving in, moving out, moving out, back in. Feely goes to flinches a little bit, then Kattar fakes and then fakes the jab, so it gets Feely to reach forward to knock the shot out of the way, and then he comes around the side with that hook to the cross. So he fakes the jab, hook, cross. So that's pulling his hand out on the jab fake, which is going to leave his chin open, throw that left hook, which is going to move his head into the power right hand of Calvin Kattar. When you throw that 3-2, the 3 is going to push the opponent's head towards the power hand and make the impact a lot harder. So fake the jab. Okay, he swiped down to parry me. I come around the side. Boom, land the cross. This is a big, big weapon in the game of Calvin Kattar, and we'll see it more as we cover more of his fights. Kattar, again, just popping that jab to push Feely back and then moving close with the hook and a cross. Again, as he gets more comfortable, he lands more shots. He moves in, bop, with that jab, hook, cross. Jab, fake, hook, cross. Let's see. We're going to keep this going. Kattar flicks the left hand out in a southpaw stance. So he switches stances from orthodox to southpaw, and he flicks that left hand out. And this is going to gauge reactions from Andre Feely. Feely's not really going to know what Kattar's going to throw, should he switch to southpaw like he'd been doing in this fight. And, even though Feely ended up losing this fight, he looked really, really good in the fight, to be honest. I mean, he lost the rounds clearly, but he was always in the fight. He was a dog. He liked to land that left kick to the body of Calvin Kattar and a couple other shots as well. So don't think that Feely got absolutely dominated, even though he lost via unanimous decision, 30-27. He lost all the rounds. He still showed up in this fight and looked good, to say the least. So Kattar flicks the left hand out as he's in a southpaw stance and then switches to conventional with that hook cross. So fake, okay, the power's in the left hand. Nope, I'm switching back, bop, bop, and catches Andre Feely. He actually landed the left hook, and when he threw the cross, Feely slipped to the outside and then circled into the hook. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I think I read this wrong. Oh, okay. I got it. Okay. So Feely, obviously Calvin Kattar's in a southpaw stance, right? Right hand in front, left hand in back, power in the left hand. Feely slipped to the outside of the power left hand, but then since Calvin switched stances, his right hand is the power hand now. So Feely slipping to the outside of the left hand is actually going to direct him into the power of the right hand. So Kattar knew he was probably going to slip to the outside. So he switched stances mid-combo as he threw that fake left. And then boom, he countered with that 2 down the center. Boom, caught him right on the chin with the cross. Kattar faked a level change as we got closer to the end of the second round, and he attacked with a power right hand. So he faked it. He got Feely to flinch, and then he stepped into range with a power right hand. Boom. So he feinted, faked the takedown. Boom, come over with the right hand. This hurt Feely bad, backed him up into the fence, and had him covering up and not really doing much. Sealing the second round for Calvin Kattar, no, without a doubt. As we get into the third round, again, it's more of the same from Calvin Kattar, landing jabs a lot. Feely worked a lot in this round in the southpaw stance. Like I said, he switched a lot from orthodox to southpaw and moving side to side, in and out, faking and feinting. He did a lot of this, but at the same time, Calvin Kattar just was able to make the reads and figure out Andre Feely. Feely worked out of the southpaw stance and tried to land his right jab to the left cross, but Calvin lands a left hook as Feely steps into range and then slips to the outside of the power left hand. This just shows, again, he knows what Feely's going to throw and he's ready for the counter. So Feely steps in with a jab and is about to throw the left straight, but Kattar slips to the outside and throws that overhand left hook. Boom, catches Feely on the jaw and then slips to the outside of the left hand, angles off and gets back to the center and maintaining his range. Kattar, again, for the rest of this round, he just honestly kept flicking that jab, countering Andre Feely, moving side to side, faking in and out, countering with that hook cross, 1-2 down the center, and really countering as Feely switched stances. And he just really just outclassed him in this third round and won the fight via 30-27 unanimous decision on all 3 cards. We're actually going to go to the second part now. This podcast is probably going to be 3 parts, and we're going to talk about his fight with Shane Burgos at UFC 220. So stay tuned, guys. Let's go.